Welcome back to the channel. So in this video we're going to be taking a look at the Ditto X4 loop pedal. So the reason I wanted to make this tutorial is that I purchased the pedal and I just couldn't find all the information I needed. So in particular the MIDI functions was what I was interested in, one of the main reasons I bought the pedal actually. So the manual doesn't actually tell you how to utilise all of that. I think the reason for this is that since the pedal came out there's been various firmware updates and I guess they just didn't update the manual. So I had to do quite a bit of digging to find the information I needed. So I thought, why not make a nice video for other people that gives all the information, and then hopefully you don't have to go through what I went through. So let's get into it. So in this video we're going to be looking at how you record a basic loop, the serial and sync mode and how you can record different parts of a song, the store function and the backing track level, the audio effects, the mode switches on the back and how that can change the functionality, USB storage, and how you can make use of the MIDI port and trigger the pedal's functions via CC messages. So this pedal features two loops, loop 1 and loop 2, and both of these just function the same as any other loop pedal that you've probably used. So if you have used a loop pedal before, this will be very familiar to you. For those who haven't, let's take a look. Okay, to start the loop you just need to press the foot switch and you'll see the light go red to indicate you are now recording. When you want to end the loop, you just press it again. And you can see now the light has gone green and you can hear it's playing back what I initially recorded in. So to overdub, you just press it again. And now you see the lights red to indicate you're recording. You can hear me playing over the top. And each time the loop starts again, you can see the light does flash. And it will keep overdubbing until you turn it off by pressing it again. So in between the two loops we have this switch that says serial and sync. So in serial mode the loops play one after the other, so this is good for if you want to create like a verse and chorus section. Okay, so what I've done here is I've recorded two loops in advance. I've got a verse section on loop 1 and a chorus section on loop 2. So to switch to loop 2 I just need to press the switch. This will cue it up, and once loop 1 has stopped playing, it will switch over to loop 2. And there you can see I've now switched to loop 2. So when I want to go back to loop 1, it's just the same thing again. And in sync mode, the two loops will basically play at the same time. Okay, so here you see me just recording a basic loop. So now you can see I've started recording an overdub on loop 2. So it's similar to doing an overdub on one loop, but the advantage is that loop 2 can now be a multiple of loop 1. So if loop 1 was 4 bars, loop 2 could be 4 bars, but it could also be 8 bars or 12 bars, or so on. The other advantage is you can adjust the levels of each loop. Okay, so now we're going to look at the store switch. So I've played a loop in already, so that's what we're listening to now. So to store the current loop, all I have to do is flick the switch up. And it flashes orange to let me know it's stored. So now I'm going to play something over the top. So because I stored the original loop as a backing track, I can now adjust the level of it. I do this by holding the switch down and turning the loop 1 level dial. So now you should be able to hear that the backing track is now lower than the overdub, and I have to turn the whole thing back up to bring the overall level back up. So one thing that happens is as soon as you flick the switch, it will set the backing track level to wherever the dial is. so it can just suddenly jump up in volume. So you have to play around a little bit to get it right. So this allows you to get a good balance between your backing track level and your overdub, just giving you a bit more control. So essentially when you plug this into your computer, it will just act like any other USB flash drive, and all functionality of the pedal is disabled when you do this, so you can't use the pedal while the USB is plugged in. Okay, so I've plugged the loop pedal into my computer and we can see it's actually appeared here, just like a flash drive. So I can go into that, and then we're going to see two folders, track 1 and track 2. So this is your two loops. So whatever you stored on the pedal by flicking the switch up, it's going to end up in these folders. So if I go into track 1, then we can see we've got two different formats, AIFF and WAV. So let's play one of them. So we can hear there, that's the loop I recorded on loop 1. So then you can just save it like you would any other file at this point. Maybe you want to reuse it later, you just want to save your idea. You're basically able to do that here. You can also put new stuff onto the pedal. So here's another track I recorded previously. So if I wanted to put that back on the pedal, I could just delete these and I could just drag that on. Now I didn't have to delete the two that were already there. You can actually have multiple files in that folder, and it will just use the last one that was imported. However, they were named both tracks, so I would have had to rename it, and I didn't particularly want those other ones. But there you go, whatever you want to do. The only thing you can't rename are these folders. They need to be always named track 1 and track 2. But anything you put in here doesn't matter. You can be named whatever you want. So you can import whole backing tracks into there with drums and everything, and it will be ready to go on the pedal, which is quite a useful feature if you need that. So the pedal has a MIDI in and a MIDI through port. So this is good if you want to send MIDI clock to the pedal. So if you want to sync multiple instruments together, so let's say you have a drum machine, you could send out the MIDI clock from the drum machine to your loop pedal, and then when you record your loop, it's now going to be synced in time with your drum machine. So without that feature, your loop would just go out of time. So this is really good for like live performance. So what I've done here is I've set up a project in my DAW, and at the top there I've got a MIDI track, and the output is set to channel 4, and that's because the pedal is actually hard-coded to receive input on MIDI channel 4. Now you can send CC MIDI messages to the pedal to control features. So here I'm sending out a CC message to loop 1's record switch, allowing me to start and stop recording remotely. So here you can see I've already added control 3 to my automation options. So this means it's now available on my MIDI track. So here you can see where I've drawn in the automation and I'm sending the start and then the stop signal. So this process would be similar in any DAW you use. You can do it from hardware as well if it has the capability to send out CC messages. So here's a list of the CC messages that you can send to the pedal and what features they control, and I'll put this in the description. Like I said, I had to do a bit of digging to find this. I think it eventually turned up in the TC Electronic forum, but honestly I can't remember. Okay, time for a quick demo. So here's my backing track playing. So you can see it's heading towards that MIDI track first spike, and that's going to trigger the record. So here's the loop pedal, and you see it just turned on without me physically pressing the switch. And when it hits the second spike, it's going to turn it off. So this is great if you're in a live performance, because you don't have to worry about pressing the switch at the right time. It's just going to happen automatically. And if you're bad at doing it, it gives you a perfectly in time loop as well. So the pedal does feature some effects which are right here, so let's take a look at those. Okay, so first up let's take a look at the reverse. Next up we'll go to half, which is half time or half speed. Then we got once. So that just plays your loop one time and then stops the pedal. Tape stop. Fade out, which is a nice way to end your loop. When you press it again, it will fade your loop back in. Double speed. And you can actually do multiple effects at once, so I've got reverse and double speed now. And hold, as you can hear, just loops a snapshot of your current position. So one of the interesting things about this pedal is that we have these mode switches on the back. So these switches basically change some of the functionality, which give you more options. So let's take a look at these now. So with a screwdriver you can just flick the switch up from its default down position. So when you put mode switch 1 in the up position, instead of the sequence being record, play, overdub, it's going to be record, overdub, play. So you see when I stopped the loop, it immediately carried on recording, straight into an overdub. Okay, so with mode switch 2 in the up position, the overdub is going to wait to start with the beginning of the loop. So you can see it flashes while it's being queued up. And it does the same when you turn overdub off, so it only stops recording at the end of the loop. Okay, so with mode switch 3, this affects the serial and sync mode. So in serial, as soon as you hit loop 2, it will start recording. It won't wait for loop 1 to end. You can see it instantly switched to it when I pressed it. Okay, so in sync mode, essentially it just unsyncs it. So you can get some really weird timing. So when you put everything together, you can get some pretty interesting results. So in conclusion, I think it's a really good pedal, especially if you want to step up from maybe like a one switch pedal. This is going to give you a lot more options. It's really good for live jams, so I definitely recommend it. So I hope this video has been helpful. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already, and I'll see you next time.